This is it, Luigi!
It's...
This is the Serious Sam and Max Hit the Road podcast.
Yep, we are here being super serials. It's a very serious game, you know?
Serials. Yes, there is a lot to be serious in this past couple of weeks.
Oh!
So, this is to
more...
call it a trying time would be, at this point, not only euphemistical, but also wildly disingenuous and insincere. These times, they be fucked up. Extremely.
Yeah.
And you know me, I barely ever swear in this podcast, so you know this is serious, Sam. No,
yeah.
But seriously. There is this habit, call it a form of protection, of self-preservation, if you will, that people like to adopt by saying, wow, this year sure is bad. This is the worst year ever.
Yeah, that was like every time, yes. Every year. Like...
This is every year since Trump won the elections, by the way, but it's a very terrible habit that we have, if you ask me, because it tends to ignore the literal centuries worth of build up that led us to the very moment that we are living right now. These protests against the status quo, systemic prejudice and racism, these aren't just things of the year 2020. They are things that have always been there. It just so happened to explode this year because of the proverbial last straw. And what was that?
That was a floating head of some description.
Okay.
That was weird.
So, okay. I am making a choice here not to fully address these issues and talk plenty about them. Mostly because this is not the right context to do so, because we are literally playing a silly shoot-em-up game.
Yeah.
It's a first-person shooter, I should say, not a shmup.
It's also, sadly, a multifaceted issue with many different
It is an extremely full-time, multifaceted issue. But the real reason beyond that is that I have been at it for the past 15 days or so, trying to get myself as much as possible informed and trying to expand my social conscience as much as possible, being fundamentally angry, outraged, sad, depressed, all of those things, which was not healthy, let me tell you.
I can imagine.
So I needed a break. But then once I started to actually get a break, then I start thinking about those who do not have the privilege to take a break. And that really made me feel even worse. Worse about the inherent privilege that I have, because I can just live my life without
Any
having
worries?
to think of. Well, some worries I do have. Everybody has their worries.
Yeah,
But as a guy who was born white, I do have certain privileges that I did not
no, you
realize
had.
I had. And we had this argument and conversation before, and it was a good conversation too. But to slightly add to that all kind of worms, now I find myself also confronted by the fact that while I am privileged in some regards, I'm also not privileged enough to do anything meaningful and useful
To help out, right?
in these situations. Yes. Aside from the very basic, lowest common denominator that I could possibly do in this situation, such as trying to use my very small, limited platform to raise awareness or post and retweet, and maybe do some charity or something like that. Anything I could possibly do, and it's not enough. I am confronted with my uselessness.
Yeah, you're in my
As well-
you're in my position as well, then.
I've been punched in the gut by my privilege and kicked into the gonads by my uselessness at the same time. And
Cool.
even saying that, I feel bad in saying this to you because I am making it all about myself and this is not about me. So, and again, I feel selfish and more guilty now that I said that.
Well, honestly, it seems like, that's natural to think that because you want to do more, but you just can't be there to do that or have the power to do so. Oof,
Playing
that was close.
Serious Sam like this, killing hordes and hordes of demons, seems very cathartic right now.
It's the best. Well, not the best we have, but it's rather. It just helps against the stress, the negative.
Sometimes you
thoughts
need
sort
to
of thing.
decompress and take care of yourself because you are valid as an individual. You need to check your mental health if
Whoa.
you can afford to check yourself out of the situation that gives you stress. And again, I start to think about those who cannot afford to decompress, as I am doing, and then it becomes a vicious cycle, and I am once again stuck in my own personal misery.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
again, it's reductive to say that this is all the fault of 2020. No, it's the fault of very specific systemic issues. Capitalism, American imperialism,
yeah.
Turf K Rowling blabbing her fucking mouth! Sorry.
It's alright.
Sorry. That's I have feelings and I'm very angry about certain people using their platforms for explicit evil.
Yeah, and not actually helping with matters.
No, and the situation about trans rights in your country is so bad that trans people are legitimately trying to escape the country, which is just horrifying.
It is horrifying. It says a lot
Yes.
about, who we have in power and the misguided and the morally misguided who lead the way.
It's not even moral misguidedness. It's just,
But you get what I mean, though, don't you?
yes, I know what you mean, and I am trying to process what you said to me in a way that's more appealing to me specifically. I cannot abide by calling this simply a case of being morally misguided. There are certain specific interests that the religious right, the far right, certain organizations, certain rich organizations really want to push for this and that other reason. it's all for the benefit of the few at the expenses of the most, and at the expenses of specific groups of people that are easy to throw under the bus in order to distract the rest of the people from other issues that they would otherwise be more focused upon, such as dismantling the capitalistic machine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as I said about 10 minutes ago, this is not what I want to talk about in this podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Even though I've been talking non-stop about it. This is not what I want to do this podcast. This is a nice, safe space to relax and enjoy the fact that you are alive and well, if you can afford to do so. So let's discuss media. Let's discuss the things that we like to discuss. Yes, that should do it.
Damn it. Okay,
and you didn't save.
No, I did not save. Plus, I was looking for help desperately.
Yes. So I've been trying to play Serious Sam the Second Encounter again.
Oh, you've been trying to?
Trying to. Well, here's the problem. I told you before that I became too used with the gamepad. Yes, the good old pad, the gamepad, the controller. I am one of those filthy console peasants now. So, going back to play Serious Sam the Second Encounter, which is the direct sequel to this game, was a bit of a challenge because I had to relearn to get myself comfortable again with the keyboard and the mouse. It was not easy, and that game is not the best to learn how to play first-person shooters on computer. Again, that is. It's not an easy game to relearn what you forgot about those games.
Unlike me, who basically has been too used to many years of playing first-person shooters.
Yes, you play console games with a keyboard, which is scandalous.
Actually, no, I don't play consoles with a keyboard at all. I play the PC.
I've seen you play platformers with the keyboard, and that really, that makes me angry.
Let's see, what game was I playing with that again? I'm trying to remember. It was honestly so long
several.
ago. It was honestly so long ago. It's just that I mainly prefer.
Oh right, you played fighting games with the keyboard. There was that wrestling game, that Mortal Kombat game.
I don't remember playing those with a keyboard. Oh wait, unless
they were emulated, so of course you did.
Well, I don't play those very well. I prefer the gamepad with those, but.
Yes, but the point is that you can actually do it, and I've seen you being able to do it.
I don't really prefer. I prefer otherwise because
you played Freedom Planet with a keyboard. I remember.
Yes, I definitely did play that with a keyboard.
I hate you for that. I hate you forever for that.
What? I can't help it. I can actually play that well with it.
You see, that's my point exactly.
But
there are people who play Dark Souls with a keyboard. I hate them too.
God, if you imagine, hearing you say that, imagine the people that you probably hate even more for playing Dark Souls with a Guitar Hero controller.
What?
Yeah, there's people out there who play Dark Souls games with controllers that the game was not designed for.
Madness!
Yeah, they decided, hey, I need an extra challenge. I'm going to program a Guitar Hero controller to work with Dark Souls so I can play Dark Souls with the Guitar Hero controller.
What next? Play Doom with the Power Glove?
Doom has its own kettle of fish of, can it work on anything? Like, can it work on a calculator?
They tried to port that game to literally everything, so...
It works on an ATM machine, it works on a milkshake machine, McDonald's screen. You name it.
Can you imagine? You go to a bar, order some latte, and the barista says, "Okay, here is your latte, your doom latte." In order to drink your latte, you have to play Doom on the literal glass of milk. Somehow. Actually, the milk is your controller, and the glass is the console that plays Doom somehow. If you tilt the glass just at the right time, you can strafe out of an enemy move.
And you have to make sure you don't spill it, otherwise you die.
Oh my gosh. Okay, some people are weird, and I love it. I hate them, but I love them. I love to hate them. I hate to love them.
I'm just amazed by it sometimes.
You're different. I hate you because you're different.
Different!
Let's talk about some of the media offerings that I have decided to bring forth into this podcast.
And what would they be?
You might have noticed this if you follow me on Twitter, but I've been extensively playing a certain mobile game, a certain tower defense gacha game by the title of Arknights.
Huh. I think that's familiar to me.
Have you seen my posts on Twitter about it?
To be honest, I've been away from Twitter for a while.
Good. It's healthy not to get on that hell site.
Well, yeah. It's just I've not been there in general because, one, the only way I could have got to Twitter was my phone, and my phone has been busted since the start of the pandemic.
Oh wow, I'm sorry. You almost have a similar situation to my own when it comes to the phone.
Really?
But that was more me not understanding how phones work, It wasn't a real busted phone in that sense. Oh, a heart!
Secret health. So that means we have 200 health. Watch me waste it all.
Yes, probably.
Well.
So anyway, I've been playing Arknights, and honestly I am debating with myself if I should talk about this game, about everything that this game has to offer, but I think that will take literally the entire podcast.
Oh, right.
There is a lot to say about this game, mechanically, in terms of gameplay, in terms of presentation and narrative premise, some predatory means by which this game is what it is.
Huh.
It's a mobile gacha game, which means it's entirely predicated on keeping you
hooked and getting
playing
you to pay.
It. Yes, hooked with both the line and the sinker, playing forever. I've been playing this game non-stop for the past 15 days. Each and every day I get in, I log in. I'm playing it on Windows, by the way. There is a nice Android emulator included with the download of the game on the website.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can play this on your computer, which is preferable to me. There is a good core gameplay that's actually surprisingly difficult and hard to master, a steep learning curve. It's a tower defense. What do you expect?
Of course.
And what you do in this game, you essentially collect waifus. Yes, you collect hot anime babes with animal parts.
Right.
Basically, your cat girls, your bunny girls, your dog girls. You know.
Let me see.
The usual. It's a very specific, shall we say, a very specific genre a very specific appreciation.
Yeah.
For a very specific side of the weeby fandom, if you will.
Of course.
You've got to love that completely generic and inspired green filter in this main menu.
Yeah.
So anyway, Arknights, this is what you do. You play a lottery game, essentially, and you hope you get a 4-star, 5-star, or even, dare I say, Dave Meltzer breaking 6-star girl to add to your team. And then you start the long game of leveling them up, which is done in an extremely grindy fashion. Because you have to have specific items in order to upgrade this character, and you also need even more specific items in order to promote these characters. And everything that's not the main combat, it's XCOM meets Waifu Hostel Tycoon.
Waifu Hostel?
I just made it up, but you get the idea. It's a game that's positively brimming with mechanics and just things to do every single day, and it keeps you hooked. It forces you to come back because you need to also use these characters that you collect to literally run your base, and they need to rest once they are too tired to continue, so you need to get there, you need to keep production of materials going, and you need to do battle in order to advance in the story, but you also have limited sanity points during the day to do those fights. It's a whole can of worms, and frankly, I am not very interested in discussing that. What I'm actually interested in discussing about Arknights is, honestly, the first impressions. Because the first impressions are really what hooked me, but at the same time repulsed me. Arknights is not your average, unassuming, simple-minded, busy work, mobile gacha game. It has ambitions. Narrative ambitions.
Oh, okay.
Let me put it this way. Had I known what this game was going to be about from the beginning, I would have probably chosen a different name for my character.
So what did you choose?
Well,
I mean, it can't be worse than me naming my character Doip in that literature club.
Would you like to bet on it?
I would like not to, because
I called my character Letchermann.
Letchermann.
Yes, with 2 N's. It's German, you see. Letchermann. But that's not even the best part. The best part is that the character I play is supposed to be a doctor. So he gets constantly referred to
Dr.
as
Ledger.
Dr. Letchermann. Dr. Letchermann. This reflects what I thought about this game as I began playing it. I didn't think much of it. I thought, okay, this is going to be a fun distraction. Nothing to be overly committed about. And then the story begins. And I am presented with a very specific scenario right off the bat.
Right.
So there is a fascist, imperialistic superpower dealing with a group of organized protesters and rioters who are fighting against systemic prejudice. Yes, and all of which is happening in the midst of a global This is from the first 5-10 minutes of the game. So you can see why I was a little bit reticent to, play this game. A little bit hesitant, a little bit taken aback.
Well, yeah, because, I mean...
this is a very oddly specific scenario that I'm being presented with, and the realization that the reality we are currently inhabiting is so tragically similar to the freaking premise of a gacha game, of a waifu game, is horrifying.
Jeez, you're telling me.
This is just a good old-fashioned case of existential terror, right there and there. Of course, as I, managed to get past the initial impressions, I realized what was actually at stake. The game is actually more similar to X-Men. In that the rebelling force, the aforementioned rioters, are sort of a terroristic group who's trying to destroy all non-infected in order to save all of the infected. Because yes, the reason why they are being discriminated is because they have this disease that I mentioned before, which is called oropathy. And at first, I thought this disease caused people to grow animal parts.
Right.
But that's not the case. This is literally a world with people that have animal parts. It's a furry world. It covers all facets of the spectrum, if you will, from the basic cat girl to the full-on furry anthropomorphic tiger girl by the literal name of waifu. She's supposed to be Chinese.
Oh,
Get
no.
it? Waifu. The game itself is Chinese, so they knew what they were doing with this. But again, to the point, this is a game that tackles a lot of grave issues about systemic prejudice, fascism, imperialism, racism, all of that. But it's also a game in which you are effectively collecting girls for your harem. And there is one of them which is basically Sexy Tigress from Kung Fu Panda. Named waifu, and she's my favorite, by the way. I was very lucky to get her.
That's nice.
Yes. The gameplay mechanics have so much depth. One would say too much depth. Because there are a lot of elements you need to remember. Weak points and strengths of both your units and the several 100 million different enemy units. It's quite stressing, but anyway, back to the plot of Arknights. It's more akin to X-Men. And I mean that not necessarily in a good way, because the way X-Men tackles issues of systemic prejudice is not only dangerously outdated, it's frankly unhelpful in the slightest. The way X-Men does social and racial politics is akin to neoliberalism centrist both-siding, which is absolutely detestable. The bad guys, the so-called bad guys in this kind of story, are always a group of oppressed people who decide to rebel against the status quo. But they are just rebelling way too hard, man. They went too far with their rebelling. And then conversely, you have the good guys, which are basically saying, no, you shouldn't rebel that hard. All lives matter, after all. We should debate the racists in the free market of ideas. We should gain emancipation by playing the game. We should not demand instant change. We should apply for incremental change. So, needless to say, I don't buy the narrative in that sense.
That's understandable.
I don't buy the X-Men narrative in that sense. Especially since the very idea that the bad guys, the oppressed, the ones who are rebelling against the status quo are actually super powerful and super dangerous, sort of undermines the legitimacy of their rebellion, because it makes the fear, the unjustified, irrational fear that people have towards them, completely rational and justified, because they can literally cause cataclysmic events with the snap of a finger. Because the sickness gives this infected a shorter lifespan, but also the ability to cause untold havoc. Basically do magic.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when you make the oppressed, the persecuted, so powerful as to justify the fear of the common people and the racist propaganda by the government, you're sort of creating a situation in which you have an example of both sides are in the wrong, which, as we established, is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
You do not you do not play the game of both siding with issues of literal genocide and oppression. Because the compromise to let's kill all the people and let's not kill all the people will be let's kill only some of the people. To the game's credit, I think they are trying to subvert some of those tropes. Because the good guys are not without fault. The main heroine, which is a bunny girl by the name of Amiga, she's the front man of this pharmaceutical organization called Rhodes Island. I kid you not.
I'll take
which are allegedly trying to find a cure for oropathy. She is a charismatic leader, but she's also very naive when it comes to issues of prejudice. She doesn't realize her own privilege, and she tries to push this agenda that we should all learn to live together, which sort of completely undermines and condescends the real tragedy that the people who are joining the terrorist group would feel. If anything, this game has something interesting, well, or at least something relatively meaty to say about how terrorist groups come to be, how they gain traction, and how they become dangerous to you and me, for example, because of the doing of unchecked superpowers playing the game of oppression and expansion. And all of that.
Yeah.
It's a forever topical question. It's how Islamic terrorism expanded as soon as America started its many wars in the Middle East. It's how ISIS gains traction with that mess in Libya during the Obama administration. America sucks, by the way. I don't know if I made that point clear at this point. Yes, anyway. So I became invested in the plot, relatively speaking, but then I also became distracted with all the many chores that the game has me doing in the hope that I can advance in the story, because it's not well paced at all. It tends to jump from level 1 danger to a level 20 danger in a matter of stages, very few stages, and so on and so forth. So I have to keep leveling up my characters and upgrading them constantly in order to keep up. The game is very much designed from the ground up to keep you grinding and hooked. Which is a shame, because there is, as I said, there is a good, engaging game at the core of it all, but it's taken hostage by the fact that it's a mobile gacha game that you play for free, unless you want to spend money on it in order to accelerate things.
Yeah.
I would be willing to buy this as a full game at full price from the start.
Yeah, and not have to
in
deal
order
with the
to
microtransactions.
Play a game that doesn't really try to keep me hostage with its many, many fundamentally obligatory chores. But alas, I am stuck with this particular format.
Yep, stuck with this reality, sadly.
Yes, we are all stuck with this reality. It's a reality akin to that of a gacha game that you play on your Android phone, anime babes, for your military harem. I'm going to say it's a surprisingly tasteful game for what it is. And by that I mean the characters are sensibly designed. There isn't a single character who is scantily clothed, for that matter. No, they're all very dignified in that sense. It's not Xenoblade Chronicles 2, is what I'm saying. It's not Kill la Kill. The girls all wear real clothes.
Clothes that you actually could buy from the shop.
No, well, yes, there is a shop for that, but I'm not really interested in that. Remember to save.
Well, I saved before entering this room, but I'm just going to try and get rid of these little frog guys with...
I might as well do a bit of a highlight reel of some of my favorite characters.
Yeah. Wait, where is it?
Oh, yes, I can hear him. Oh, there he is! There he is! Coming right in front of you.
Not for long.
So, I mentioned that there are characters who are 6 stars.
Yeah.
And they are very rare and difficult to get. I was lucky. Fairly early on, I've obtained Exusai, whom I can best describe as a punk-rocking angel girl who's a sniper.
Sounds pretty nice.
Oh yes, she's pretty nice. Very good fun personality too. She's a 6-star. And of course, she's the most difficult to upgrade. Because you need so many items to grind. You need to grind for so many items in order to have her evolve, so to speak. Yes.
Reminds me of my times with Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yes, it's the exact same kind of game.
What?
I don't know if it's a tower defense, but...
No. Fire Emblem Heroes essentially was a mini version of the tactical role-playing game, essentially.
But basically, you do that. You collect characters from the series, which you obtain through a lottery.
Yeah.
Or a recruitment, if you will, and you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
which can be both delightful, intriguing, but extremely frustrating if you get the same version of a character you already have and you're not interested in developing that character altogether, because at some point your roster is so big that you need to prioritize certain characters over others, inevitably.
Yeah, I don't know.
Otherwise, all of your resources get stretched too thin.
Yeah, I don't know if Nintendo are still being fair with the pool, because when I last played Fire Emblem Heroes, the hero pool was quite generous, I would say, because you had a fair chance of getting the character that they advertised. So, I still felt disappointed when I didn't get them, sort of thing. But the point is that other gacha games, I was never able to get the character I wanted. But Fire Emblem Heroes, I could probably, at a reasonable possibility, get the character I was hoping to get in an event.
Devar, you've been talking to yourself for the past minute or so.
I would not know that. Anyway, we got this. This artifact.
Yes, you dropped off from the face of the earth. I think the connection might be unstable.
Oh dear. Well, we got through the level. So next up, Valley of the Kings.
The Valley of the Kings, one of the most notable sites in Egypt.
Yeah, I'll take...
Except you are already inside, so you cannot see the site.
I mean, I doubt I would. My mum...
What, you wanted to walk all the way out in the desert again?
I mean, no. Still, it was a thought, because, then again, my mum, she is a big fan of Egypt and its history, so she would probably like this game for that reason. Probably.
Yes. Maybe as soon as you start shooting things, she might stop liking it.
Strange enough, my mum actually did play a few video games like the original Dungeon, like the original Dungeon Master. Yeah, I think it's called Dungeon Master. It was basically a dungeon crawler game.
Oh, that one is absolutely ancient.
Yeah. So, she's
well,
not...
speaking of ancient, my earliest video game memory was my father playing Wolfenstein 3D.
Ah.
He did not have a sound card, so the game did not have music.
Oh, it's a shame, but still, yeah, got to play it at least.
Yes, so that is one of, if not the earliest memory I have of gaming. And what about yours?
It's a bit complicated because, you see, the earliest video game memory I have was on an Atari ST computer.
Eesh!
Yeah, and so there was a couple of games in my life that I remember playing, like a platforming puzzle game called Snoopy. Actually,
Snoopy? As in Peanuts Snoopy?
Yeah. He actually had a platforming puzzle game on the Atari ST.
Was it... oh, wait, it's on the Atari, so I was about to say, was it any good? But no, it was not, clearly.
DuckTales Quest for Gold also comes to mind, which was another game I played quite a bit in my youth. Yourself!
It is so satisfying to hear them explode as they were yelling.
I find it satisfying when I shoot them and then blow up someone next to them.
Oh yes, that too. Speaking of satisfying, I happened to notice recently that, Steam noticed for me on your behalf.
Yeah.
That you have shown a certain interest over a newly released game titled Gunfire Reborn.
Yeah, like I said to you over Discord, it was a game I saw someone review by the name of G-Man Lives, who reviews first-person shooters.
G-Man Lives. Now, that's a name.
Yeah. He actually reviews first-person shooters for a living on YouTube. So I don't know if he does it for a living, but anyway, that's besides the point. I saw him reviewing it, and he said it was a fun game and it looked fun, so I thought, hey, why not? Just add it to the wish list.
I have learned about this game by watching some very excellent gameplay from Twitch streamer Hachiko Syndrome. It was one of the only streams that did not have vocal commentary.
Oh.
So I was just enjoying the gameplay for what it was.
Ah, damn it.
I have to say, it's basically aesthetically Borderlands, but with cartoon animals.
Pretty much.
And I am sold on that premise alone, honestly. Borderlands, I remember it's fun to play.
Yeah.
With the added gimmick of anthropomorphic animals. That's even more fun to me. It's a roguelike. That's not necessarily fun, but hey, it can still be good.
Yeah.
I told you my complicated relationship with roguelikes already.
Yeah, I also have a strained relationship with roguelikes myself.
As in, I want to play them, but I know I'm not good at them, so I don't know why I want to play them. There's something about them. There's something about Mary. I mean, roguelike. So now I know that you're interested in that game, which is good. Good to know. Definitely good to know. I know when is your birthday too.
Yeah.
Now the game is fairly cheap on Steam, mostly because it's early access, and it shows. Honestly, there is lack of music really during gameplay. To the point, in fact, that the streamer I watched had to add her own set of soundtrack, playlist, collection of music, essentially, which enhanced the experience, in my opinion.
Of course.
So, yes, definitely that's a game I will keep an eye upon. I'll be waiting for a console release of that one.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. I was wondering where this kind of come from. You're probably going to be disappointed me in the fact that that I've not been doing much other than playing the Fantasy VII Remake as of late.
Man, Devar, my man.
Yes.
My dude. My bro.
Yeah.
The Luigi to my Mario. The Tails to my Sonic. Just because I don't care about the remake doesn't mean I hate its very existence. In fact, I am very happy that you're having fun. I'm very happy that you think the game is good, and I am glad that you are enjoying yourself with it.
Yeah.
I myself am not interested, but it's not always about what I like or what I care about. So, hey, you do you.
But I meant to disappoint in the fact that, I remember 2 sessions ago when we were playing Heretic, you said, you didn't want to talk about Final Fantasy. Sort of thing.
Well, okay, I didn't want to talk about it, but if you do want to talk about it, go on. It's also your podcast.
Like I said, it's literally the only thing I've been doing as of late, because...
Okay, so you're like me with Arknights.
Yeah, So for the last...
Honestly, I have no rights to complain about your gaming habits since I'm playing a gacha game. I remember giving a hard time to Ross about it, so big old hypocrite over here, hello.
I can't... Just see if 3 rockets will do. Hope it will, because I don't want to deal with this guy right now.
Usually 3 rockets are enough, but they have to actually hit it.
Yeah, I did hit it in my view. Okay, so I'm going to say it simply about the Fantasy VII Remake, at least. I like a lot of things about it, but I also don't like some things about it.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so let me actually get my revolvers, because this is better to sort them out with. So, I like the combat system. You know, it stresses choice and strategy in the midst of combat. And plus it's, you know, you have to be considerate about the enemy's position and how their moves work, the animations, so then you can dodge them and such. The downside to this, you have to learn about them.
Oh, that's never fun.
I mean, sure, I mean, you can say, like, that's the same as when it's in its turn-based days, where you have to, you know, learn about the enemy beforehand and, you know, get the right materia and strategy.
Well, I would argue that it wasn't as necessary as some other games.
Nor intense, mind you. Because, let's face it, there isn't
Who's ever bothered to have a status effect materia build in Final Fantasy VII? Nobody! That's who.
They actually have added an interesting aspect to the materia where, you know, because of the nature of the strategy and the gameplay, I should say, they basically added materia that actually reduces the time you're silenced or turned to frog.
That's good.
So that's interesting, that basically there's a timer that you have to deal with, and then, you know, and there's a materia that lessens the time for having it on you. But,
those bisons are annoying.
Okay. I actually do like as well, there's some extra chapters in the Fantasy VII Remake that builds on characters, their motivations, and their point in the story. Including Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse.
Oh, that's absolutely great.
They actually
when
have...
they die horribly, you will feel especially bad about them.
Yeah, because in the original I was like, oh no. But now that I had this whole chapter,
yes,
which
but
concentrates
here's the problem.
on them...
You already know what happens to them. You already know, spoiler alert, you already know that they die. So having to spend time knowing them, knowing beforehand that they will die, seems like a waste of time and fairly manipulative if you played Final Fantasy VII already. Now, I would argue that if you are a novice,
like you never played it before,
Final Fantasy VII, then it might be effective, and then you will feel despair when all of your favorite pointless side characters that you have built an affection towards die horribly, because, you know, that's what happens to them usually in this sort of stories.
So yeah, as I was saying, Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse actually has an entire chapter dedicated to them, where you're working alongside them. I mean, you sadly can't play with them. Oh, holy crap!
Oh gosh, it's a boss!
I'm not stopping, not stopping.
I don't remember this at all.
Who the frick was that? Okay, so...
That is a precursor to...
Highlander.
Oh, a Highlander.
And then we have...
That is a precursor to the final boss of this game.
This is getting serious. Indeed, Sam. Let's save. So? Let's seriously save.
let's seriously save. Wow, I can't believe after all of that, boom, surprise mid-boss.
You're telling me. The downside to
Back to Final Fantasy VII, yes.
The downside to it, I found, is that I've only seen one chapter of this so far, but it seems incredibly pointless to have a chapter of world-building fluff that offers nothing to anything in the story or the characters.
This is where the padding becomes evident, because there is only so much you can do with 1/10 of a complete game.
Yeah. So, yeah. I've only seen it happen in one chapter so far, and that was chapter 6, where basically, usually you're in the early parts of the game, you're in the train, you're on the rail tracks trying to get to the Sector 5 reactor, and then, and then you're straight to the reactor.
Hold on.
Yeah?
Go back.
Oh, hello.
Sorry, I asked you to go back. I didn't mean to. If I knew this would happen...
Okay, someone's firing at me. Oh wait, is it this thing?
I think it is. So I noticed there is something up there.
Right, up
you
there.
See, there is something up there. Is that an Ankh?
Yes, it is. Can't reach it right now.
How do you get to it, and what does it do? Intrigue. Must collect everything.
Yes, we must collect all the things in this place.
This is me playing Doom Eternal and not having fun.
So like I was saying, about the whole, you go straight to the Sector 5 reactor after going through the train tracks and through the air ducts. In this one, it's like, first there's the long train tracks, and then suddenly, boom, you're learning about the world of Midgar and how they have sun lamps.
Okay, choosing the worst possible time to inject forced world-building exposition into your narrative.
Again, this is... I mean, it's nice that you're telling me a bit more about Midgar, but...
There is a time and place to expand on the world, and not in the middle of a mission like that, and you died.
Yeah, well, at least I did it after the boss, so let's be thankful for that.
That wasn't even a boss, that was just a mid-boss, my friend.
Yes, I know, but it's a mid-boss. A boss is a boss.
Just... Okay, be in denial then. Actually, you can be on denial. It's Egypt. Oh my god, no.
Yeah. So far I've been conflicted about other chapters wasting my time, like with chapter 9, where you're trying to gather all the things for the story, with Cloud having to dress up as a woman in order to get into a place.
An entire chapter just to do that.
Yeah, and I'm a bit conflicted because they've improved a lot of things about that segment, but there's also parts that I'm not sure, because essentially it's optional, but at the same time it's like, it's difficult to put into words how I feel about some of them.
First kill all of these champs, then you try to put it into words.
Boom! Headshot.
Okay, what are you saying?
Well, I was saying that I'm a bit on the fence
conflicted about that chapter because some parts of it have not aged, or I should say, some parts of it have not been properly addressed.
Oh, God,
you died again. Maybe don't run towards the Scorpion Man.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Just a suggestion.
Okay, let me get this. Actually, not this gun. This gun. Yeah, this gun's better for this segment. Okay. Let's just sort them out. Them out. It's just that, you know, the chapter with Chapter 9 where you have to, you know, do all these quests and then, you know, essentially they send you on a quest that takes you around the entire town to this place, to that place. You have to do a favor for this guy, you have to do a favor for that guy.
I hate fetch quests.
Yeah, and, you know, and... Oh, bugger. Getting mauled. That's not good. And like I said, you know, makes me feel conflicted about such things when they basically while they've improved the narrative a bit there and made it all intriguing, it all makes sense. But do I really have to go around town basically doing odd jobs here and there and everywhere just to basically,
yes,
you know, get all that?
It's one of those... There was a guy on the left that you did not notice.
Yes.
That's one of those classic tropes of JRPGs that have been plaguing the genre since the dawn of time. BC work, fetch quests, all elements that make the game unnecessarily longer. They pad out the total runtime in a bid to convince you that your money was well spent. You're getting a properly lengthy game.
Yeah.
There is this conviction that the longer a JRPG is, the better it is for it, which is misguided at best. Chrono Trigger can be beaten in 20 hours, roughly, and it's one of the best ever.
Okay, let me try and get through this. These lovely meaty men. Well, it's probably just...
I am meat!
I am meat!
Kill all of the Otises.
Mandy!
They come running towards you. Oh, Mandy! I am meat! Yeah!
Okay. I've killed those guys at least, so...
Yes, save here. Good idea.
I do not want to do all this for the 50th, 100th time.
It's scandalous that it takes more than one rocket to kill the Scorpion Man.
Yes, it does.
Honestly, it really says a lot about this game that the rocket launcher is not one of the most impressive weapons in it.
Yeah, which is a shame because it should be one of the more outstanding arsenals.
I know, but then you get the literal cannon arm.
Yeah, the cannonball.
As in, it's a cannon you put in your arm, like Mega Man. But it's a medieval-style cannon that you inexplicably put on top of your arm. No, you put your arm inside the cannon.
You put your arm in the cannon.
Well, anyway, you folks will know it when you see it.
Whoa.
Okay, anything else you want to stress about Final Fantasy VII?
I'm basically trying to think if there's anything else, because I'm pretty sure...
I know you are bothered by the fetch questing and the blatant padding. I would be bothered too. It's one of the reasons why I didn't bother with this game. Oh, well, that and the price tag. I am not paying full price for the Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode 1 out of 0.
Yeah. But overall, I do like I said before, I'm enjoying the combat. I love the fact they've updated things to make more sense in places, and even updated several other things. So then,
is there a secret down below in the water?
Probably. Let me take a look.
There usually is.
Oh!
Ah! Well, there are friends on the deeper side.
I've got friends on the Cthulhian side.
I got friends on the deeper side.
Oh! Didn't realize you were there.
Electrified fish. There doesn't seem to be anything.
Yeah, just that health.
Which you wasted immediately because you were electrocuted.
That makes sense.
Look at my teeth. I'm impressive. I'm scary.
Yeah, I'm a scary boy.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there was another thing I wanted to say, but it's like... okay. So I don't know why. The door is locked. Don't worry, there is a key on the central column in this yard. It's too high to reach.
Oh, so that's what that's for.
You have to find a way to lower the column and pick up the key. Try to look for a mechanism in the 2 side rooms. Oh, so those were mechanisms.
Ah, okay. Well, it's a very basic Serious Sam puzzle.
I don't have to shoot it, do I? No,
just press it. You wasted a couple of shotgun bullets.
Don't worry, I have 82. Which is the opposite reaction I should have in an, compared to the RPG. I have 89 potions. I must not waste them.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Hello.
If I don't have 99 potions at all times, I become paranoid.
Yeah, that's the same with me. If I don't have a set number of an item in my possession, then I feel like I'm gonna go through this really fast. Oh yeah, the boss fights.
Are they bad?
I love the boss fights, but I also hate them because sometimes you can get... Oh, now I remember why I don't like the battle system for one thing. I mean, I like it for a lot of things it does right, but there's one thing I don't like it for, and that is, magic, it takes a wind-up, and enemies inexplicably have the sixth sense to hit you while you're casting a spell. And when they hit you while you're casting, guess what happens? It becomes pointless, and you have to redo getting the ATB gauge up, getting, the necessary thing in order to use the spell. And all because, the enemy hit you while you were casting it.
That's annoying.
It's annoying, but it basically also got me to learn one interesting aspect about the battle system. The AI, for some reason, concentrates on whoever the player is controlling. So that means...
Yes!
So that means you can use that to your advantage, and I hate it, but I also like it, because that means I can cast my spells again without them being hit. More likely, but at the same time it's like, why do I have to do it this way in order to, damn it, Frog's Cop. Oh no. I have to go through all that again. So yeah, swings and roundabouts I find the remake has.
Well, when I played the demo, I found that the system by which you have to deal with bosses, as in having to... what's the word I'm looking for? Having to bungle them, essentially. Yeah. Lower their armor.
Yeah.
Was too similar, reminded me too much of Final Fantasy XIII. Anything that reminds me of that is an instant turn down.
Hey, at least Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't make items...
I guess it's a better realized version of that, but I have no interest in relieving that whatsoever.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying that, hey, at least they're not made items completely pointless once you got magic. That was one of my biggest grievances with the Fantasy 13, that basically it taught you about a system that it was acting like you were going to use it a lot of, only to find out, hey, it becomes redundant and you don't use it ever again, once you got magic, because there's no MP in Fantasy 13. So, anyway. So, I'm not finished the game yet. I'm at the point where we're going back to Sector 7, where before, Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse dies in the game.
Yes, they all die. We all know that they die, so...
But, I will say this, the game has me intrigued with...
Oh, maybe the game will actually surprise you and not kill them. Who knows?
I mean, the game has already surprised me by having boss fights that didn't exist in the original, and these strange Dementor-looking creatures, being involved in the plot somehow, and not making any damn sense right now. Because they're either against you or helping you, and I don't get their presence in the game right now. Sephiroth comes early in the game, which is like, yeah, it's nice seeing you in this game, but why are you here this very early on? It doesn't make sense to the story that Cloud would be seeing you right now. So, more swings and roundabouts, essentially. Let me get that sorts out their bandwagon.
Choo choo. All aboard the Otis bandwagon. Choo choo.
Okay, let's... Ah, damn it.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've done this week, but But honestly, other than Fantasy VII Remake and basically trying to refine the combat system of my next one-shot game for the D&D table, well, for the tabletop group that we're in, that basically homages arcade-style games of the time, of the 90s.
Yes, before you say of the time, you want to specify which time.
Yes.
I was about to say.
Yes, the 90s. I had to refine that a bit, the combat system. Well, that and plus, come up with, stories and over-the-top anime power-ups. Oh no. Clears and toads. Clear the toads.
Oh, I sure hate the skeleton bulls here.
Yeah, the clears.
The queers are coming!
Let me make this clear.
Yes, I hate the queers.
That doesn't sound right with the Elmer Fudd voice, sadly.
No, I know. That's the joke. All
right. Okay. Huh. I wonder if I can get up there.
Trying to see under a skirt, hey? You pervert.
Nope, no secret here. I was kind of hoping for a secret.
I have a few recommendations.
Yes.
I watched a few films this past week.
Yeah.
That may or may not be relevant to the current situation in general.
Yeah.
First off, I rewatched the 1988's Maniac Cop.
Alright.
Remember Maniac Cop?
Honestly, I do not remember that
It's
one.
a fairly underrated slasher flick from the late 80s, in which the supernatural, monstrous killer is a cop. A zombie cop! For a film of the time, it touches upon a surprising amount of relevant and resonant topics, such as police brutality, being the most obvious, the implicit trust that we tend to give to the Force, this illusion of safety that cop propaganda is instilled upon us, the myth of the hero cop, as in the heroic status of a cop is determined by how many people he has thrown into jail or killed. The idea of cops as abusive partners, and also a little bit, a sprinkle of all cops are bastard, which is also there. It touches upon a fair few topics. It doesn't really commit to any of them. But honestly, again, for a film about a killer cop from the late 80s, it has not aged badly.
Right.
It stars Bruce Campbell and Richard Atkins. It's not Bruce's best performance. He's not Ash here. He's a dick copper.
Ah.
That's unfaithful to his wife. And then his wife gets killed by the zombie cop. He's not very broken up about it, but he gets framed for it, and that's what really bothers him. He is not a good guy, but he's the main character nonetheless.
So it's not like, what happens in one of the Hellraiser films?
You would have to be more specific, because there is a lot, and at the same time, nothing at all that happens in the Hellraiser films.
Yeah, it's just I'm talking about the time when, for some strange reason, they decided to turn Pinhead into for only one movie, mind you. They basically turned him from this we are a neutral party who don't do anything other than pleasure and all that of the flesh, and and then for one movie inexplicably, hey, we're gonna punish the wicked, for their sins.
You're probably talking about Hellraiser 3.
It wasn't 3. It was basically.
Hellraiser 3 was the only film in the series in which Pinhead was actually compelling as a villain, or interesting, or fun in any capacity.
Yeah. Oh, bugger, I'm not doing so well on the health department. It's just that there was I don't remember all of the plot of this particular Hellraiser movie, but it was essentially like there's a crooked cop who, and he basically, and he has this sin, and you don't know what his sin is, and then it's like, then you find out about it, what it is later in the film. Damn it.
Oh, well, I didn't watch that. I stopped at the third one because I had quite enough of it. Speaking of 80s slasher films that have not aged well at all, Hellraiser is one of them. Yeah. Particularly the second one is despicable. As in, one of the worst edited, least coherent or cohesive films of its genre. It's one badly delivered line away from being a Troll 2. Let me tell you. But it's not quite as amusing as Troll 2. It's just dull. Let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about here exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's such an egregious example too. There is this one scene in which the lead heroine takes a photograph, which is an important plot point, and puts it in her pocket.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I would be saying if she didn't completely, entirely miss the pocket as she was putting the piece of paper inside the pocket. And instead of doing a retake of that, they decided to awkwardly cut away from the scene, but leaving in the fact that she missed out the pocket.
God damn it.
Again, this needs to be stated again. She was supposed to put a photograph. Look at this photograph! Inside the pocket of her jacket. She missed the pocket, and the film just cuts away from it. They didn't do a second take. They just used this take.
Because
that is so bad.
I mean, that makes sense.
That is so bad. And so lazy. It reflects the nature of the film itself. Such a lazy enterprise that nobody involved really wanted anything to do with it. It is reflected by the direction, it is reflected by the writing, it is reflected by the acting. Nothing good out of Hellraiser Part 2. At least Hellraiser 3 had fun with itself.
I am the way. That's the line I remember from number 3.
I wanted to recommend Maniac Cop. It holds up, surprisingly. It's a solid film. It's a solid B-slasher film with something important to say about cops.
Yeah.
Specifically, They are bastards. Anyway, another recommendation would be the latest film by Spike Lee, The Five Bloods.
5 Bloods?
The Five Bloods.
You have passed the wall of darkness. Okay, that's a bit weird.
It's his own Vietnam film, or rather, it's his own postmodern deconstruction and denouncing of the Vietnam War and how it affects its place in Black America history. In typical Spike Lee fashion, it's a punch to the gut every step of the way, and it alternates fiction with real-life stock footage and onto reimagining the scenes and events, and so on and so forth. The beginning of the film is literally a montage of relevant images, videos, and footage from the 60s in relation to both the war in Vietnam and the horrors related to it, and the civil rights protests in America happening literally at the same time, with a particular focus on Martin Luther King Jr. And that really sets the mood and the tone for the rest of the film, which is supposed to be a jungle heist movie?
A jungle heist?
As in these 4 war veterans, which are all black, obviously.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the film. They go back to Nam, specifically to retrieve a lost treasure. And certain traumas and wounds, psychological scars are brought back to life by the journey. It's a film that tries to have quite a lot of meat to the grill. Some would say too much meat onto the grill, but all of its many elements coalesce together perfectly to leave no stone unturned, thematically and narratively. I definitely recommend it. I don't like it quite as much as Black Klansman, but only because Black Klansman is the film that made me reappreciate Spike Lee as a director and as an angry man with something righteously angry to say about America.
Yeah.
And about racism. So yes, I definitely recommend The Five Bloods. And yes, it's D-A. And finally, the most anti-fascist film I've seen all week long. Are you going to ask me what that one is?
And what is the film? Sorry, so I was trying to get through somewhere. To get through this wall of darkness.
Yes, the most anti-fascist film I've seen all week long. We Bear Bears, the movie. No, I'm not even joking about it.
I take your word for that.
Have you ever seen the show, the Cartoon Network show, We Bear Bears?
I know what the premise is, and I've seen some of the characters.
It's definitely one of the best shows on the network, or was, because it has recently concluded, but it's been quite a wholesome, joyful ride. It's a beautiful series about chosen family, familial love, and finding unity through diversity. It's a show that's always been about those topics. It's been very subtle about it, up until now, that is. The movie, while still working in the realm of allegory, because, it's supposed to be seen by children, it's very much not subtle at all about what it wants to say and how it chooses to say it. Basically, it's a film about ice, and that is better exemplified by the villain of the piece, whom, in this order, forces the bears out of their home, hunts them down savagely, tries to separate them from each other, to separate the family, and puts them in concentration camps for bears. It's, as I said, not very subtle, and the parallels with the real-world actions of ICE and other such law-enforcing groups are clear for all to see. The villain himself has this moment in the third act in which he says very explicitly that humanity is the superior species, and this is the closest he'll ever get to literally hunt the bears. And when he says it, I'm just paraphrasing here, but when he says it, it's a punch in the gut. One that I was not expecting from We Bear Bears, the movie, needless to say. This has been the most explicit the show, or I should say, the series as a whole, has been with its themes. By providing a antagonistic force to everything that the bears stand for, unity, family, being appreciative of each other's differences and being united by those differences.
Yeah.
All of that is, again, reinforced by giving them a villain that stands to take everything away from them because he can and because he wants. Because he has the power to do so, the power given to him by the state. So it's endemic of a bigger issue of systemic prejudice. And the ending of the film, which I will not spoil, obviously, is such an exclamation point to that message of solidarity and unity that We Bear Bears has always been about. So it was very satisfying to see how far the show has come and to see end on such an high positive note with this film. I mean, they even show the bears holding the pride flag in the end credits.
Okay, is this the end of the level, or is this going to be...
This looks like the end, yes.
Ah, another, one of these things.
Another one of these things, yes, indeed.
Whatever these things are.
I'm collecting the 7 crystal balls. I'm not sure what's their use, but I guess we're doing this.
Oh, wait.
Wait, there's more?
I was kind of hoping it would end here.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me check a look at the home thing to see. Yeah, we got the Tommy gun as we were talking about the bears.
All right.
Oh no!
I bet you have to use it instantly.
Well, yeah, I had to use it instantly because
usually that's how it works. Don't even think about jumping into the water. It's too high up.
Well, I wasn't thinking about it. I was just basically wondering, like, would they shove a secret down there?
You could try. Well, now you have no choice.
Unless that's the end of the level.
No, it teases you with that ammunition you will never be able to get.
I bet you...
Bastard!
I bet you there's really nothing on the other side there either. You know, in video game development land.
Ah, yes. Good old video game development land.
Ah, the Oasis.
Alright, so those were my recommendations for this week. I would recommend them to you, which is what I did, hence why they are recommendations. Redundancy. I think this is as good a place as any to end the podcast.
It is. So let's just save here.
Podcasting with my
friend.
Oh, that is so nice.
Well, we don't. Well, that's all we ever need. We don't need silly titles.
Yes, I hate to nitpick the choice of capitalizing with, but I think I will anyway.
Yay! Well, I have nothing else to add, sadly, because you know me, I'm awkward and very.
No, you're not awkward at all. You probably have much better social grace than I do, as actually you found out firsthand when we met. On that fateful bus.
Yeah.
When I came. Actually, should we tell that story? It's a very funny story.
Oh gosh. Okay.
You know what? I'll save this story for next podcast because this deserves a proper build.
Yeah.
We shall build towards this story because it's a great story.
Yes, because
it's a fun story.
Well, it's a very unique story, let's put it that way.
Yes, let's just say that you've gotten the opportunity to learn for yourself that I am indeed on the autistic spectrum.
Yeah.
In the worst possible social context to do so.
Yeah.
Fun times.
So with that
I miss those times.
So with that cliffhanger then, we should probably leave.
With that cliffhanger, we shall leave you.
So, good night and take
with this
care.
lovely, completely not last minute green screen that really, that's just so unappealing to behold.
I mean, we could always, if you really wanted to edit something, you could probably just green screen something over it.
That's too much work.
Yeah.
For this podcast.
Good night, buddy, and take care.
Yes, good night. And always remember, always remember, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights,
yes,
all cops are bastard, death to fascism.